Good evening, lords and ladies of Middle-earth, and welcome to the Lair of Film Room. Tonight we will be reviewing The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. In the second part of the Tolkien trilogy, Frodo Baggins and the other members of the Fellowship continue on their sacred quest to destroy the One Ring, but on separate paths. Now, after the last movie, we witnessed Frodo and Sam leaving the group after the death of Boromir, after they were attacked by the Ulrich, who split up the group, and now we watch as Frodo and Sam follow Gollum through Middle-earth, while we watch Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn go off to find help from, I think it's the Nor, joining up with the King of Nor in the, near Helm's Deep, and helping them defend, Helm's Deep. While we also have Merry and, Pippin meeting up with Gandalf, who is now Gandalf the White, speaking with the Ents of the forest, asking them for help to take Mordor. And let me say, this is an interesting way to do a story, because, well, I've seen Star Wars where they do the 3-part act thing, where they either have a space battle, a ground war, and then whatever the Jedi are doing, like what they did in Episode 1. Here, this is a lot more interesting. Like, we've got Pippin and Merry off in the woods discussing politics and waiting a really long time for the Ents to decide to help them in war. And we watch as they drink from, I think it's the spring in the woods that causes them to grow taller and learn the language of the Ents, where I'm assuming if they'd kept drinking from the well, it would have turned them into Ents. That's my only understanding of that. Where, on the other hand, we have Frodo, who is slowly beginning to succumb to the power of the ring, and he's only got Sam to save him from himself. And they have Gollum as their guide, who is taking them through the swamps of the dead, and getting them captured by Boromir's brother. Well, actually, it's not the Swamp of the Dead, it was called the Dead Marshes, by the Black Gates. And they get captured by Faramir, who is seen as the lesser brother, which we actually do in the extended cut. We do get like a flashback of how Faramir had lost a battle and was hoping to be chosen chosen to go to Rivendell instead of Boromir, but his father showed favor for Boromir, and now we see that Boromir has died, and Faramir is in charge of the armies of Denethor, who is being overrun by the orcs, since their home is closer to the mountain that our travelers are trying to get to. And he helps them escape through a cave, and throughout this we watch as Gollum is going through an inner conflict with Smeagol, who wishes for him to go away, because he is willing to follow Frodo, who contains the One Ring, and he at this point, he kind of doesn't know who to trust, because technically Faramir's troops capture all three of them, and Faramir is horrible to Gollum in this, and horrible to Smeagol, and after Smeagol got rid of Gollum in the caves, he comes back explaining to Frodo, and he comes back explaining to Smeagol that Frodo and Sam have betrayed him, and now they are leading them into the mountain passageway, where if memory serves right, they are going to encounter the giant spider, who is the mother of the spiders in the Hobbit movies. And on top of that, we have Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, who are now fighting with the Nor at Helm's Deep. They are overrun by the orcs, and they are and this is after they freed the king of Nor, Elrond, who was under the power of Saruman, thanks to his aid. I think his name is Wormsworth or some shit like that. Who a lot of people have a theory is he might be a descendant of Alfred from the Hobbit movies, which I guess kind of makes... Oh, it's Wormtongue. But it kind of makes sense because they are both cowards. They both betray the person that they serve, and they end up... with Alfred, he runs away and ends up stealing all the gold from Rivertown, and ends up inadvertently saving Gandalf by flinging himself into the mouth of a troll, killing himself and killing the troll due to his greed, thanks to the coins that he had captured that launched him. And here, we haven't seen what Wormtongue does, but we watch as after he's given freedom and he's saved by Aragorn, after the king wishes to kill him, he goes to serve Saruman as like a servant, and from what I've read, I believe he's going to kill Saruman, but that is something we will have to wait and see until the Return of the King, which is the next movie we will be doing. But now they're caught at Helm's Deep, and we have one of the biggest battles in the Lord of the Rings trilogy so far. I mean, we've seen the Battle of the Five Armies, and that was pretty big, but this one is 10,000 orcs versus a measly, I believe, 500 men, maybe less, and it is not until the fifth day, which Gandalf returns with an even bigger army to fight off the orcs and save our three heroes who are stuck in Helm's Deep, forced to fend off the orcs at night through rain and thunder. We also have the cute banter between Legolas and Gimli, where we actually kind of see something similar to this in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, with during the battle of the second Battle of Geonosis, where Anakin and Ahsoka and Ki-Adi-Mundi are counting their kills through like a little game, and Gimli and Legolas do this, both ending up, Gimli ending up with 34 kills, where Legolas ends up with 33, showing that Gimli is obviously the better warrior. And it's hilarious how Legolas cannot take losing, so he ends up shooting an already dead orc who has Gimli's axe in his head, and it's it's kind of funny watching it because it shows that they're slowly becoming more friendly with each other, despite the the earlier disputes between dwarves and elves, who aren't too fond with each other, as we've seen in both The Hobbit and the first Lord of the Rings movie, because dwarves are very proud of their battle tactics, where elves are very sure of themselves and a bit stuck up sometimes. And during this battle, it almost came to the point where Aragorn and King King Elrond almost ended up riding out into battle, making their last stand. But thank God, Gandalf joined the battle on the 5th day. Actually, I was heavily wrong about the name of the people at Helm's Deep. They're actually called the Rowans, and the fortress, while it is at Helm's Deep, it's called the Hornburg, where they defend the women and children and fight, most of them fighting till their last breath, until Gandalf rides up on a hill and leads his army down the hill to meet the orcs. And pretty much we leave off with Frodo and Sam talking about how they hope to hear that one day they will become legends, that people will tell their stories, and people will remember them as the great heroes who destroyed the ring and freed the people from darkness. Which, believe it or not, most of us want that. Like, everyone's heard the stories of King Arthur, everyone's heard the stories of Achilles and Odysseus, and I think most of us these days want our stories to be told someday, want everyone to remember us, and this conversation between Sam and Frodo is very relatable, and I applaud R.R. Tolkien for writing it. Yeah, and we also see the Gollum has come back to plague Smeagol, and now again he's leading them to their deaths, even after the threat that Faramir slung at him before letting them go at the against the wishes of his people. We also learn in this that actually Aragorn is 87, so apparently he's a part of a people that barely age until, like, his people are very similar to the hobbits, who live to over 100 years old, and which is impressive, and apparently he's one of the few of his kind left. I mean, the only complaints I have about this are that it is a really long movie and it took me a while to finish, and it does have its slow moments, like the talk, the Frodo and Sam talk, which, like I said before, I like it, but it's a weird way to end the movie. There's also the long waiting moments that we witness when we go back to the point of view of Merry and Sam. We also it does get boring sometimes, and I feel some parts like this, like the Ents, where the Ents conversation in the forest kind of was created to pad out the runtime, and I am not too happy about it, but the action is delivered. we definitely get what we want. We learn what happens to Boromir's body after it goes over the falls, and we do get a bit more backstory for Boromir and his family, but again, the quiet moments where we're just forced to sit there talking and they decide to add weird jokes in, like Merry and Pippin finding the weed in the storehouse and smoking and having their weird conversation about how it might be a distant cousin of Treebeard, the Ent that they've befriended. It just, some of it felt padded just to pad out the runtime. So with that, while I do like how this is more intimate, like there are more fights in this, like the our one group defending the people of looking up the name again, of Rowan, leading them to Helm's Deep, and I do enjoy the Battle of Helm's Deep near the end of the movie, and the almost unseen battle that Frodo and Sam get caught up in, where Frodo ends up attracting one of the ring wraiths to the battle and almost gets himself killed due to the ring taking his mind over. I do feel this movie, I do feel it's better than The Fellowship of the Ring, because it doesn't really have as many quiet moments as the first movie does. It still has them, and it still has its awkward moments, and I do really like that we got to see what happened to Gandalf after he falls off the bridge with the Balrog, and we learn about how he becomes Gandalf the White, and I forget where, I think it was in the Fellowship, we learn about how he, a bit about the wizards and why they're here. Honestly, I'm gonna give it a 9.4 for being just as good as The Fellowship of the Ring, but it was a little bit more better despite the horrible jokes and the very slow moments that felt like they were trying to pad out the runtime, like the Ent Forest discussions. So hopefully the Return of the King is a little better and a lot less filtered or padded out. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell for more of our content. And have a great night, guys. And let's be honest, nobody's ever truly dead, especially if they're a wizard. Then they might come back as a different color. Have a great night, guys.